Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Cupid's Coach podcast. I'm your host, Julie Ferman, inviting you to transform me to we through the process of doing dating better than you used to. I'm so excited. I have someone here with me for the second time, and you have to be really good to be invited back a second time. His name is Marc Katz. A lot of you know him. He is a very well-known dating coach. He was like the first dating coach that there ever was. Marc Katz, welcome back to the program.
Thank you so much for having me back, my friend.
Now, some people don't know how you initially got into it. Tell people about what happened way back when with JDate.
I yeah, I don't think too much about my origin story because it was 22, 23 years ago, but I was a penniless screenwriter in Hollywood, couldn't sell a script, putting myself through film school, doing odd jobs. One of my odd jobs was answering phones in customer service at JDate. I was using the product, very much believed in the product, had some success using the product as a single guy. And I said, hey, why don't you make me like the date doctor and charge $50 a person to talk to me? And they said, shut up, answer the phones. And so I wrote a book about online dating because I was a writer. And the book did well. It was called I Can't Believe I'm Buying This Book, A Common Sense Guide to Successful Internet Dating. And came out 2004. And I got lucky. Unlike my Hollywood career, the book did well, and I dropped out of film school and became the dating guy and didn't really know what I was doing. I was 31, but I knew how to flirt with people online, and that turned into a news story. And so I just sort of took that, and people said, "Hey, these profiles you're writing for me are getting results. What do I do now?" I said, "Well, let's go on to Match.com and do a search. I don't know how to do a search." So my suite of services grew to meet the needs of my clients. And 80% of my clients were smart, strong, successful women. I didn't solicit them. It just turned out that men need a lot of help. They don't ask for a lot of help. So I focused all my energies around 2010 on focusing on exclusively women.
Interesting. So typically, if you look back into who you've been working with since 2004, about 80% are women.
Uh, 2004 to 2009, 80% women. 2010 to present, 100% women.
Okay. One of my questions is to you, of the men you have been able to work with
Mhm.
as a dating coach, the men who came to you and said, I'm not getting it, help me. Um, who's more likely to receive the coaching and do something with it, a woman or a man? I know it's a hard question, but in your experience, who's more coachable?
It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. Um, Women are more open-minded, collaborative, less egocentric. Um, and so from that token, women would be more receptive to advice. But women often want to understand why more. There's more questions, there's more dialogue. You have to go deeper. With guys, especially the guys who actually take the time to reach out for help, they're usually nice guys who lack confidence or experience. They're easier to help because they just tell me what to do, right? They don't need to know the whole why. You don't have to spend an hour answering one question. With guys, you just tell them what to do and they go and do it. So there's a little bit of both, in my opinion.
I'm really curious what you'll say. There's something that I have determined, and I want to see if your determination of the same question is anywhere near the same as mine. Uh, Biggest mistake that women make in dating is boom. What do you say, Marc Katz? Biggest mistake we make when we're single and dating is
I'm gonna I'm gonna take your question. I'm gonna break it up into two component parts. The biggest mistake people make in dating and the mistake people make in relationships.
great.
Because they're completely different. Um, but there's overlap. Biggest mistake people make in dating is
We're going to separate out women versus men. So think about women first, and then we're going to ask the same question with men. But what is the biggest mistake women make in dating and then also in relationship?
I, let me zoom out. Sorry, I'm thinking out loud because I don't have like a ready-made answer.
Good.
but my belief is that people in general are so driven by attraction that they lose sight of their own feelings. Attraction is a feeling, but it's one feeling. Right. So this is where we're going to tie dating and relationships together. So if men in general are attracted to youth and beauty and boobs, and women are like height and education and money, again, to be blunt, when people go online, that's what they're often looking for. Those things are such powerful forces that will forgive almost anything that's associated with that. And so then you have a relationship with someone where your emotional needs are not really being met. And people stay in relationships with someone who is attractive or has something in common with them at the expense of their own feelings for decades. So the first few dates, the three feelings I tell people to pay attention to, right? I don't say, the check marks that everybody else is looking for. Comfort, can I be myself? Fun, did I enjoy this evening? Do I want to go out with this person again? And attraction, which again is important. But comfort is really the big one. Can I let down my guard? Can I be myself? Can I be vulnerable? Can I be silly? Right? Can I, right? And people go decades ignoring that. So I'm just a big believer that a good relationship is like putting a shoe in a foot. It's a fit, it's an alignment, but it is 70% attraction and 100% compatibility. Compatibility is how well the system works, how well the couple gets along. Is it easy? And I think if we understand that, dating becomes a lot clearer. Most people go for the person they're the most attracted to and then keep their fingers crossed that it works. And I pay more attention to, is it working? How do you know if it's working? Am I anxious all the time?
Evan, I love what you said about really men and women both. We're responding to attraction. And I love that you want to know, are you comfortable? Can you be yourself? Was it fun? Did you enjoy yourself? And was there attraction? Men don't tend to develop it over time. We can. So for a woman, if she's more attracted to him at the end of the date than she was at the beginning, that's a good sign.
Yeah, and I think there has to be a baseline of attraction. And again, forgive me for being gauche and talking about numbers, but I think a six could go to a nine. But if your attraction's a three, I'm not going to make you go out with someone that you think is a three. First date out, like I know there's people who have the philosophy, give someone a chance, give someone a chance. I don't believe in duty dating. I don't believe in forcing people to do things. As long as there's potential, we could build on the potential. But if there's no potential at first glance, you're not doing each other any favors by forcing yourself to go on a date. And sometimes people, men and women, really need to hear that because they feel bad. Oh, this is a really nice person, but I'm not attracted to them. They feel bad about it, and they don't need to feel bad about it.
So part of the reason why there's so much ghosting going on is because communicating that to someone is really hard. And and yet in my boot camp classes, I will ask, we've got men and women together wrestling with these issues. And we talk about ghosting, and the men hate it and the women hate it. And so when we really boil it down, it's just hard to say the words. If you're on a date, let's just pretend Evan Marc Katz is a single guy. Oh my God, maybe take
We
it
don't
down.
we don't have to pretend. You were trying to set me up when I was 33 years old. I have one of my all-time best dating stories came from you.
I know about that story. So, not then, because you were 33 then and you didn't know then what you know now. If for some reason you ended up out there in the dating world right now,
Yeah.
I would know that you would be looking for certain qualities, a little different than maybe 33 years ago. What would you
Oh,
say?
sure. I'd probably be very dangerous. I'd look for my wife all over again because I found something that works, and that would probably be a little bit too narrow-minded. But when you find something that works, I was like, oh, it took me 300 dates to figure this out. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. So I think I'd probably not look for my wife. I'd look for the feeling that my wife gives me.
Beautiful. I love that. Now, we've kind of pinpointed the big challenge in dating and what people are doing wrong in relationship. What?
I want to apologize. You were pulling on a thread, and I interrupted you. You were talking about the idea of ghosting and people being
Oh,
conflict averse and not being able to say no. You're
thank you.
asking me how I would say no to someone?
Yes, you and I are on a date,
Sure.
pretend, and we're having great conversation. Everything's great, but you
Yeah,
know I'm not the right romantic fit for you.
I
How
got
do
it.
you responsibly deliver that message to me at the end of the date or after?
Right. Definitely not at the end of the date. Right. It's a stomach punch. It's happened to me. Right. And it scars you. I remember going on a date. It was in West Hollywood. I remember her name. She's still a Facebook friend. Uh, she, she told me at the end of the night, "Hey, I could tell you're really interested in me. I'm not feeling the same attraction." And I was like, I was just like gonna go put my head in a toilet when I got home. Um, so I would never ever do that. I think it's the little white lie followed by the softest version of the truth. So, end of the night comes, you and I had a perfectly good date, but one that I don't see going anywhere. Give you a big hug goodbye. Hey, Julie, I had a great time with you. I'll talk to you later this week. Right. Not true, but not confrontational either. That buys me time because otherwise it leaves you feeling bad at the end of the day, which is just not necessary to tell you then. So, hey, great night. Talk to you soon. Next day, send you a text. Hey, Julie, so much fun taking you out last night. I really enjoyed your company. You're so interesting. I love what you talked about, blah, 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 blah. Didn't feel the connection necessary to take this to the next level, but I think you're really wonderful. I think you're going to make some guy really happy one day. I wish you the best of luck in your search. Take care, Evan.
That's great. I love that. Your
Right.
words.
And I tell all my clients to do that to men. Don't reject them on the spot. Send them something, the compliment sandwich the next day. It's another version of it's not you, it's me, but you're not saying there's no chemistry, I'm not attracted to you. Right. Didn't feel the connection necessary to take it to the next level, but you're a great guy. Best of luck. It's pretty airtight. Now, someone could still get upset, still get angry, but better to do that than to do what everybody else does, but by being conflict averse, which is to basically string someone along and make them feel anxious for days or weeks because the person that they like didn't get back to them. Just close the loop. And if people could do this routinely, again, it still stings to get rejected, but it's much better than the alternative.
Yeah, I really like it. And the way you said it, cause somebody anxiety when you have a sense that you went out on a date with Julie and you think she's a nice girl, and you think Julie really likes you and would love to hear from you again, it's pretty irresponsible and actually cruel for 3, 4 days to go by. And a lot of women are waiting for you. What do you say to women after the first date? Should they reach out to the guy and say, Evan, thank you so much. I really appreciated dinner, or I really loved our drinks date, or whatever. Thank you.
Yes.
She
Yeah,
should do that.
absolutely.
And then that gives
Absolutely.
you an opportunity. If she did it first, it gives you a chance to respond with a similar kind of
This is the
message.
point. This is healthy adult communication. I'm going to quote you back to you because I remember stuff that we've talked about for years. I even quoted you the other day. It's interesting that we're more likely to have sex than to be able to talk about having sex. We're so awkward about saying what we really feel, but we need to say what we really feel. We could do so with kindness. We could do so in such a way that's not designed to send someone into a tailspin or trigger them in any way. But the idea that either a man should be obliged to go out with a woman he doesn't want to go out with, or a woman should be obliged to go out with a man out of politeness, that doesn't make sense. And I think it's pretty clear. It's basic golden rule. If you wouldn't want someone to to ghost you, why would you do that to someone else? So the answer is the day after the date, someone should step up to the plate and say, "Hey, I'm just not feeling it." And there's a better way to do that, and it's built into my coaching. You need to learn to say no because the truth is, most people are not your partner. You got to get very good at this little mini breakup speech, right? But the more people get used to that, the less painful it becomes, right? I had that happen to me a bunch of times. I did it to people a bunch of times. And no, there don't have to be any bad actors. It's just
Well,
a shoe that doesn't fit.
when you break up gently upfront in the way that you just articulated and gave people the words. Thank you for that. When you see this person again at Trader Joe's, it's way less awkward than if you never said what was true.
Yeah, you see them at Trader Joe's, you'll ignore each other because the awkwardness persists.
I don't know. I'm watching what happens with the people who are doing lots of coaching with me in boot camp, and I really encourage them to develop friends along the way. So if I go out on a date with Evan and I think he's great, but he didn't go for me in that romantic way, I want to be on friendly terms
No,
with
we're
you.
talking past each other. I agree with you. I'm saying that if I just ghosted you after the first date, when I see you at Trader Joe's, I'm gonna duck around the next aisle.
Exactly. What would you do if we parted, if we consciously uncoupled before we even got to the second date?
I, I'll tell you this. It's not. It's. When is this airing, by the way?
Probably on Tuesday, a week
Okay.
from, yeah.
Okay. Um, well, I just posted something on Facebook, and I had people come out of the woodwork to say to offer me advice, including just about every ex-girlfriend I ever had, any J date that I had 20 years ago that I stayed on good terms with. People came out of the woodwork for me. So I very much believe that you could have relationships, but they can't be unrequited love. It can't be one person has a wild crush on the other person. You have to kind of bury that stuff. Otherwise, it's an asymmetric relationship. So in all the cases, there was no sexual tension, there was no longing. They just became friends.
All right. My burning question is, Evan Marc Katz, what should happen between two people before they go south of the border? Okay. They keep their pants on until they've had a conversation about what?
Geez, Julie. Um, we're not going to agree on this, which is cool,
I'm
right?
excited. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Because reasonable people can disagree. Um, for anybody who's listening, just understand everything I'm saying is certainly highly subjective. This is the way I conducted my love life. It does not have to be the way you conduct your love life. Um, I think the time to have a conversation is the conversation about sexual intercourse specifically. That's the time to have a conversation. Before that, it's foreplay, it's high school, and part of the fun of dating for those first 5 weeks ish, right? Going on 1 or 2 dates a week, ramping up is going around the bases, right? Making out in the car on the third date, inviting him in for a drink on the fifth date, taking off. Like it's it's building up trust and excitement and anticipation, right? And so I make a distinction between sexual intercourse and everything else. If you make the distinction at taking off your belt, that's just the difference in our opinion.
I think it's a reasonable way to look at it. I'm trying to pinpoint at what point, for especially a woman, has the oxytocin kicked in? Okay. So
Yeah, I'm not.
enough
I'm
for
not
the
as.
attachment.
That's why I said this is subjective. I'm not going to be as we override our biology all the time. To me, it's the thing that I talk. I just gave you a little speech on how to break it off with a guy. I have a speech called the sexclusivity speech.
That's what I wanted to ask you. What are the words?
It's very specific because you have to convey a lot in a short paragraph if you're a woman who's saying no to a man, right? Like there's a way to say no that keeps him encouraged rather than discouraged. And
Saying
most,
no to sex is what you're talking
right,
about.
right. Like, so it's maybe you've gone on 5 dates, maybe you have him back at your place, maybe he's reaching for his wallet for the condom, right? This is when you need to have this speech. And again, it's not a thing you memorize, it's coming from the inside because you mean it. Oh my God, Brad, I'm so attracted to you. I would love to. We got to start there. Like, we have to validate that you are attracted to him. You're not rejecting him, you're rejecting sex. I'm so attracted to you. I would love to, but I don't sleep with guys who aren't my boyfriend, right? I don't like waking up and seeing that you're on Bumble. You could understand that, right, Brad? And he's like, well, yeah, I guess. Right. So, and we've only gone on 5 dates. I don't know if I want you to be my boyfriend. Key, right? You're not trying to like coerce him into a committed relationship with you. You're not trying to trick him into it. You're my world, you're the CEO. He's the intern applying for a job. So he still has to win you over. So he's gone 5 dates, you're having fun, you're messing around, and then you give him this very simple speech. Hey, Brad, having a great time, really attracted to you, love to sleep with you. Don't sleep with guys who I'm not in a committed relationship. And after 5 dates, I don't even know that I want a committed relationship with you because we barely know each other. But I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying our time. If what we have is real, a few weeks from now, you're in for the night of your life. In the meantime, I think there's some other fun things we could do. Let's get back to it. That is a perfect sexclusivity speech because it
Absolutely.
validates his desirability, doesn't make you feel like a prude, sets healthy boundaries, sets expectations about what to come in the future, makes it clear you're not trying to convince him to become your boyfriend. It's it does all that in a 20-second paragraph.
And built into it is what we call in sales the takeaway. I'm not even sure I want you to be my boyfriend yet. And he's thinking, what do you mean? It's me, right?
You're right, and you'll get a kick out of this. Back when I was single, early 30s, when we first knew each other, and you were trying to set me up, this is what I did. And I did this for 2 straight years. I did not sleep with anybody that I wasn't in a relationship with prior to my wife. My wife was the last person I was with, but for the 2 years before her, and including her, I didn't sleep with anybody who I wasn't in a relationship with because, and it wasn't a line. It wasn't like, yes, it makes someone want you more, but that was the byproduct. The goal was I didn't like being the guy who slept with someone and then woke up the next morning and being like, oh shit, now I have to spend 3 more dates trying to figure out how to get out of this. So I just said, I don't want to be that jerky guy anymore. I'm going to set a boundary. And the crazy part, of course, was you tell the woman you're not going to sleep with her. She's like, you what? You mean if I tried to seduce you now, you wouldn't? And I was like, no, I don't want to be that guy. So there's not a real downside to this, in my opinion.
Okay, so nitty-gritty question. Because I know enough about oxytocin to know that when an orgasm happens, oh boy, it's like it's a whole bunch. It's a whole bunch of oxytocin. So part of me is saying, well, okay, so you're fooling around on the couch and you're doing whatever you're doing, and you're not putting your penis in her vagina, but she has an orgasm. Is that still okay?
This is where it becomes subjective, right? Like I'm certainly not going to mansplain oxytocin bonding to women. If anything, I'm just going to point out that the bigger deal you make about stuff, the bigger deal it becomes, right? So if you make taking off your pants a big deal, it becomes a big deal. If you think you need to make it a big deal and that's the line you draw, you're entitled to draw that line. I will say from a male perspective, the further you go, the more invested we become.
Yeah.
So
Um,
so so it's finding the line that you're comfortable with because life is a Venn diagram. There's your boundaries and then there's his desires. If if hypothetically your boundaries, and you've probably met people like this, I don't kiss guys, right? Like that's my I don't kiss guys on a first date. I have to really, really like him to do that. You're entitled to that, but since a lot of guys are going to try to kiss you on the first date, you're going to leave a lot of guys going home disappointed. So everybody's entitled to their opinions and beliefs about how dating should work, right? It's the guy who's like, I don't think it's fair that I have to pay for a date. Well, you might not think it's fair, but you still got to do it. So somewhere in that, right, that big Venn diagram is what she wants and what he wants. And in dating, both men and women have to kind of figure out what the other person wants and come close to giving it.
um, One thing that I consistently will say to men and women is I'll say stay north of the border, but what I'm really saying is don't have sex together until you've had a conversation about one, what's your primary dating purpose? right back to Allison Armstrong. Why are you dating? Why is he dating? Because if he's just reeling from something and she's ready for her last first date, well, they shouldn't probably be doing anything sexual together because he's not going to be ready for a relationship and she is. So they should just explore friendship for a while, keep their clothes on, is what I usually say. And then the second thing I'll say is you have to have a conversation about exclusivity. And if you are the type of person who only wants to have sex with somebody that you're in an exclusive relationship with, that's great, but you need to find out how the other person relates to it. So the bigger question is, if you think that just not having penetration, like let's say, people are having oral sex or they're doing whatever they're doing and the clothes are flying, and that's okay to do with Helen, and then 3 days later you're on a date with Susie and the same thing happens, you may think that's perfectly fine. And
I
she
think
may think,
I
what a creep, right? You have to have the courage to have the conversation.
Okay. So we're going to find even more distinctions between our positions. And again, it doesn't mean that, I firmly disagree with you. I just think that there's a more subtle, maybe effective way to go about the exact same thing because we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to protect that woman's heart. So, I tell women to date like men. I want her to have a roster of guys and see which one is treating her the best. You don't commit to some random guy from the internet because you like him. We want to see not just how much you like him and he likes you. We want to see what kind of effort this guy is making for you to escalate the relationship. It can't just be, this is my favorite guy. This is the guy I have the biggest crush on. So these guys are auditioning for the job. Part of that auditioning is he a good kisser? Does he follow up the next day? It's part of the whole dating landscape. So I'm perfectly fine. What's good for the goose is good for the gander, right? So I'm personally fine with it, and I tell my clients to date like that if they are comfortable. If they're not, they can do whatever they want. Finally, when you talk about having the conversation, I agree a conversation should be had, but it's how and when you have the conversation to me that makes the difference, and that is something that I think both you and Allison say that I don't agree with. Most people agree with you. Let's put your cards on the table right away. And I think that's suboptimal dating etiquette. You're basically interviewing for someone for the part of boyfriend and husband. It's inorganic. Here's what I know about people. If you met me when I was 33 years old and we were on a date, would you have to sit me down after 8 dates and say, Evan, what are you looking for? You would not. I want to fall in love. I want to get married. I want to have a family. How do you know? You spent 8 dates with me. You talked to me. It's going to come out. So when dating's going the way it's supposed to be going, the guy is driving it forward. And a guy who wants to be in a relationship will tell you. And the guy who's like, I'm just looking to have some fun now. I don't know if I ever want to get married. He'll tell you. You don't have to do it in bed. Jim, tell me what your intentions are. Like, and I think a lot of people try to do this on the first date, second date. Like, let's just talk about our intentions and let's talk about where you are in your life. And how about we just stop interviewing people?
Yeah, I don't want it to be an interview. And yet I know that there's a whole lot less heartbreak when men and women both have the courage to talk about the issues. Where are you in your dating process? Are you just starting out? Are you sort of reeling? Are you kind of looking for your last first date? Or why are you doing
This,
dating?
this,
I think that's
this
a
might,
fine
yeah,
question.
this might be a subtle distinction, and it honestly is a subtle distinction because again, I know you and I agree on virtually everything. Um, remember Richard Wollman, Richard and
Of
Peggy Wollman?
course, Peggy's husband.
He wrote something years ago. I put it on my blog. I'd have to go look it up. About literally how you shouldn't even ask questions when you're on a date, which is like mind-blowing concept. He goes, because implicit in those questions is that there are right answers. It's all a gotcha game. So when you're really getting to know someone, if they're going to be questions, they're not these questions. Intent matters. There is, you know, tell me, tell me about growing up in Boston with three sisters, which is an open-ended question, right? But it's not, the intention of the question isn't, I want to hear about your messed up family and how you hate women because your dad was a misogynist. Like people are coming in with like an agenda, right? So tell me, tell me about what happened with your marriage. There's a difference between tell me about what happened with your marriage, where you're curious, or trying to get rope to hang him with. And so that distinction is really important because one is fear based. I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to waste time. The other one is curiosity based. So that's why the distinction is I want you to treat the person like the person sitting next to you on the airplane in 22B. You're not interviewing that guy to be your husband. You're just talking to him about whether he's business or pleasure or what book he's reading. It's a very different dynamic. That's a better date
I
than
love that.
whatever the stuff that people go in with this baggage.
Yeah, there's another question that I think a woman really wants to have answered, and I bet men do too. And that is, okay, are you attracted to me? Do you find me attractive in that way? Do you find yourself physically like you want to do stuff with me? There's that. But then there's, do you envision me as a possible longer term potential relationship? Because you know there are times when you're really attracted to somebody and you're like, I know this can't go anywhere, but I can't help it. And she's loving me, so we're just gonna. And then she calls me on a Monday in tears. You know,
Yeah,
we didn't have a conversation first.
this is really interesting, Julie. We're both of a certain age, have a lot of wisdom, read decent amount of self-help. I read a book last year that knocked my socks off. Maybe it was a little longer ago, called Masters of Change by Brad Stulberg.
All
He's
right.
a big time coach, writes op-eds for the New York Times, coaches high performance executives and athletes and stuff. And he talks about how sort of best practices for how to be a human being, how to be stoic and masculine and empathetic and hardworking, but not too hardworking. Like that whole self-help genre. Reason I bring it up is because it feels like the best practices for human beings is to learn to live with uncertainty. You don't know what your health is going to bring you tomorrow. You don't know if your kid's going to get bullied at school. You don't know if your ex is going to turn on you and turn into an alcoholic and trash talk you on the internet. You just don't know your job will be there. And we have to live with this uncertainty because statistics show that every like 18 months, some new thing happens. You got to move. You get downsized from your job. You break up a relation. Like there's always like another thing. Mom gets sick. Always something else. Dating is just another thing where we have to live with uncertainty. So all these questions that you have that are perfectly reasonable questions, I don't think they should be asked at all. They should be experienced. You have to just live with the uncertainty. I'm not going to go into a date saying, Julie, I am attracted to you. I see myself getting sexual with you. I think I'm ready for a relationship, but I don't know yet. Ultimately, I think I want to be. It's just you're asking people to be certain about stuff with total strangers. And I just think it's unrealistic. I think it's unfair, but I totally understand why everybody wants the certainty. It's just not real.
Well, I just say, look, until you have answers to these questions and you're comfortable that you know who Evan is, have daytime dates, activity dates, just keep your pants on for a little while longer so that you can explore more fully, whether it's taking them through a series of questions or you intuitively feel the answers to those questions. I would venture to say that if a woman is naked with a guy, whether it's intercourse or not, and she finds out that the guy's still on Bumble and that, he might have done the same thing with another woman 3 days later, that doesn't make her feel very good.
My clients could do the exact same thing.
You mean the woman is playing with him
My
and
clients all have funnels. They have, they're talking to 7 to 10 guys online. They're seeing which ones they like and they're the most comfortable with, the ones who step up to the plate and follow up quickly to make other dates. They're leading these guys around the bases, setting boundaries. Hey, I went too far in this date. Next date's going to be a platonic date at a farmer's market. They're designing their own outcome and nothing happens that they don't agree to.
Yeah.
It's a powerful place to do it instead of the weak, needy, oh my God, if I take off my pants, I must marry you thing. And I just think that's the it doesn't give women enough credit for
I love it.
being sexual adults and being able to set their boundaries. And again, their boundaries don't have to be my boundaries. Nobody has to do what I say,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to give people something that, and again, I'm trying to say this right. I had a thing with Rory Ray years ago, and we got into it online. She's a lovely human being, the nicest person, but we got into it online. And I think there's a difference between a woman giving dating advice and a man giving dating advice. The woman's giving dating advice from the woman's point of view exclusively. And I've heard the woman's view because all I've done is listen to women for 20 years. I'm giving the man's point of view. And if you interview guys, he's not having much fun. If you just make out in the car for 2 months and you don't go any further, he's not like you're actually sabotaging yourself if you don't come somewhere towards where he is, where men want to move a little faster. Doesn't mean you can't pump the brakes. But the bigger deal we make about all this kind of foreplay and all these kind of rules, dating suddenly becomes really feels much more like an interview process. And I think that's most of the advice women are getting is how to interview a man so you don't get hurt and waste your time. And
Yeah,
as a man, I don't like going on those dates.
I understand. I get it. Okay, so one more sticky question that I want to ask you because
I
you're
love
very
this.
experienced. Yeah, one more sticky question. Um, I get nervous when a woman is writing her profile and she talks so much about all the travel she likes to do.
Hmm.
Because I've watched the responses that men have had over and over and over again when they read a lot of profiles that talk about travel. If you're a single guy today and you're online and you're studying profiles, and there's a woman who's obviously accomplished, she's attractive, everything's great, she loves to travel. Do you have any nervousness about being with her?
It's an interesting question. You ask really thought-provoking questions, Julie.
Well, these are the questions that make me go, ah, so I got to ask them to
No,
you.
I mean, I like the fact that there are two sides to all these. It's not like obvious consensus on all this thing. So I know the angle you're going with, which is to say, don't do that. I think the countervailing point is that if a man is intimidated by the fact you travel, he might not be man enough for you. I mean, like we could really say that you should remove any signs that you're interested in luxury or money or anything like that, but that's part of her life. So I don't know.
It's
I think
it's the entitlement factor that the men are complaining to me about. That even though women are making more money than we've ever made in the history of human beings, we're capable, we're competent. Men hate to hear, "Well, I don't need a man," right? So there's the expectation that if she needs to be with a guy who's in a super strong position financially because she expects to keep doing all the travel that she's been doing, that she pays for now on her own. But now she's got Evan in her life and she just expects he's going to take her to Paris and he's going to pay for this and that.
you just
And the
took a
guys are like, eh.
you just took a really big leap, right? Just notice, and the men take the same leap. So a woman says, "I walked the Camino in Spain or wherever," right? And he reads that and says, "Wait, so I have to pay for that?" She didn't say that.
So she should make that clear in her.
No, because that's over-explaining. It's a dating profile. We need to over-explain. I think our whole conversation is about over-explaining so as to not possibly be misunderstood. It's a work of art. A well-written profile, I mean, I've written 1,000 of these things. A well-written profile is a work of art. It's designed to make someone feel something and see themselves in your life. If I sign up for this job, what is my life going to look like? So if a woman, and I had one yesterday who, she's in the Bay Area and she has led a really good life, right? And she's been the primary breadwinner in her life, but she does do the wine tasting month in Naples or something like that. She does not have to hide that. She does not have to hide that because nowhere in it did she say, I expect you to float my career. She has like one, one nod to the fact that she's made a nice life in real estate. And as a result, she's done all sorts of cool things. And then the rest of the profile, she talks about what a great wife she is, about how she makes lasagna with him and gives great back massages and throws Super Bowl parties that everybody in the neighborhood comes to. And if you're writing a good profile, it's just broader than that. If you if your whole profile's luxury, luxury, travel, 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 well, yeah, then you're just one note. But I don't think you have to hide something because men are so damn insecure.
It's not that she needs to hide her lifestyle and how she likes to live, but I think a guy, if she's expecting him to court her,
That was never said.
but wait a minute, I've been working with women for 35 years. The expectation is there that he's probably going to pick up the first date. He's going to pick up the tab on the first
There's a
date.
difference between a guy who courts her for the first few dates and a guy who pays for a first class trip to
I
Paris.
understand. So this is my
That's a
question.
huge leap.
Exactly. So at what point does the guy really want to know if she's an entitled princess or not?
We
Hates
are
him.
having such a funny conversation because it's the same question in a different body. These are all, I want to know from your 6-line Bumble profile what the rest of my life will look like. Am I going to get laid regularly? Are you going to look for a commitment? Am I going to pay for the vacation? Like, you can't do it. This is what dating's for. Is
Yeah.
the act of discovery. We're turning pages in the book. The book's not even written. So everybody's trying to get to the last page of the book.
Right. And I think the answer to all of these questions is let's make the first few dates fun and playful and not a whole lot of pressure, not too expensive, not too sex oriented. Let's just get to know each other. And then the answers will become clear. What I like to avoid is a situation that happened with my client, Peter. I will never forget it. He's the guy that women come to me hoping to meet. He's got a bi-coastal business. He's tall. He's good looking. He's well spoken, all the right stuff. He's growth oriented, goes to Allison Armstrong workshops. He's the perfect guy. And he watches his money. It's how he has become the millionaire next door. He's not, let's go to Paris on our third date. He's not that guy. And he got aggravated dating in San Francisco because what he was finding is consistently the expectation that women were having of him was that he would be forking out more dough in the dating process and that he would be more forthcoming about, I really like you, I want to be in a relationship with you. And he's trying to just take his time. So the issue on the table was entitlement. And this is what he said to me. I will never forget it. He said, when a woman expects something of me, it robs me of the joy of providing it.
Correct. Which is why I recommend that women do the reach on the date, at least nominally, so he could say, no, 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 I got it. If he lets her split, be gracious about it. You have a wallet, you could split.
And don't
And
put him in the doghouse because you offered.
right. And third, fourth date, insist on getting one just as a token appreciation so he doesn't feel taken for granted. He's not your ATM. On that, we agree. What we may or may not agree is we don't need to discuss it. We just need to observe it. We
And be
just need to
grown up
observe
enough
it.
to know what it is we really need and what it is we really want. The reason that I ask you these questions about
Yeah.
money and stuff is that you see it too with the women that you work with. If she has been the breadwinner in the past and it contributed to the problems they had in their relationship. She's like, well, I did that before and I don't want to do that again. I want to be the wealthy guy who has no problem taking me anywhere I want to go. I don't know very many men who want to do that, especially with their contemporaries or with a woman who's older, because now they're wealthy and asking me for younger. That's an unnatural match because that guy, if he's got all the goodies, he thinks he's supposed to be dating younger, right?
Well, if dating is a Venn diagram, eventually people either pair up or they end up alone because their list of demands is impossible. If there's a 65-year-old guy who thinks he deserves 45, God bless you. Maybe you're wealthy enough to pull it off, but most guys don't. Most people end up with people within 1 to 5 years of them. You can look it up on Wikipedia. It's true. And so I don't blame guys looking for younger women. I don't blame women looking for wealthy guys. At the end of the day, we all have a finite amount of time on this earth where we're trying to maximize who we're going to partner up with. A lot of people, after they've been married, tend to overcorrect and go in the opposite direction, right? I was in a passionless marriage. Now I'm looking for passion. I was the sole breadwinner with a guy who couldn't get his act together. Now I'm looking for money. And they go so far to the other direction that they end up missing something. They get their passion, but he's emotionally unavailable, or they get the money, but they don't get a very nice guy who's available. So we're always trying to nudge them towards some healthy middle. And that's part of your job and my job is to help people make better dating and relationship choices that are consistent with their goals. I think the hard part is if, for me as a coach for women, if your goal is to be married to a good guy, I got to represent to you what a good guy is thinking and feeling. And it's not the exact same thing you're thinking and feeling. And we have to combine these things, right? There's your version of reality, my version of reality. Any good relationship combines those things. So if she's thinking he should just take me to nice meals for a month and never get laid, right? And he's thinking, I want to get laid. I don't care about spending, if I could get, if I get oral sex in McDonald's, that's a great date. So different agendas, right? He's
Yep.
trying to move fast. He wants speed. She wants comfort. She wants trust. So he has to build comfort and trust. And she might have to speed up a little bit and not keep him at bay because she's not positive that he's her husband because she hasn't interviewed him enough. There has to be some trust building that's organic instead of interview based.
It's beautiful. Um, I cheat culture a little bit because I don't reveal age on profiles ever anymore. That has made a huge difference. In 1,400 couples that I've seen get together, wow, since I stopped revealing age, whew, so many more relationships have happened. And then the other thing that I stopped revealing because I'm just over it is height. I'm over it.
I definitely agree with you. I think that's probably hard if you're a matchmaking client to let go of this. Hey, I'm paying you for what I'm attracted to. At the same time, I can't think of two things that matter less for long-term compatibility. As long as we're playing on the same field here, right? Like, what's the difference between a 5'9" guy and a 5'11" guy? If you're 5'4", not that much. The only time age to me really, really matters. Uh, Late 30s want to have kids. Age really does matter. Maybe 70s when we're dealing with potential health things, it matters. But pretty much everything in the middle, uh, what's the difference between 47 and 51? Pretty much nothing.
Yeah, got it. Evan, I love this conversation. I could talk to you forever, and I can tell, over the years that I've known you, you've just gotten so good at what you do. And I love having the male's perspective. I thank you for taking this time to share everything that you
Oh my
have.
God, thank you for letting me be me. I mean, it's not, your podcast and you allow me to express my opinion and challenge your opinion and add to the conversation. And it's rare that I have the opportunity to express a dissenting opinion that doesn't result in conflict. So for whoever's listening, if you agree with Julie, Julie's really good at what she does. Take her advice. She's had a great track record of success. And again, there's room for all of this. So I'm just really grateful that it was a juicy conversation.
Thank you. Well, I don't think we've ever had one that wasn't, but thank you. Rock on for what you do. And please say hello to your wife and your two kids because I love your relationship. I talk about your relationship and how you stretched on issues that were not as important and you found the love of your life. So God bless you both.
Thank you.